still remember the way he smiled in that old classroom. He always sat 2 rows ahead of me. Never knew how I memorized the way he tilted his head when he was thinking. We spoke, maybe twice. But he had this light, this quiet kind of warmth that made the air feel softer when he was around. I used to walk the long way home just to see if I might catch a glimpse of him on campus. Sometimes I did. Most of the time I didn't. I used to tell myself it was just nostalgia, just a teenage crush. I never had the courage to speak out loud. When life slowed down, when the world was quiet, I'd wonder where he was. If he ever thought of me. It happened. I was back in town for a reunion. I didn't plan to attend. I almost skipped it. I told myself I was too tired. But something pulled me there. Something deep in my chest that whispered, "Go." And there he was, standing under the old tree near the library. The same one that had dropped golden leaves on his jacket that October afternoon. The first time I really noticed him, he looked older. Of course he did. But somehow, he exactly the same. I think he saw me before I was ready. And then he smiled. And I felt the world collapse into that moment. Every version of me. Every year that passed. All of it standing right there in front of him. And the conversation shifted, like it always does. Longer than anyone had in years. And said, I felt the air change. I nodded. And he just smiled again. We walked together for hours. The lights flickered on. But the world, the loneliness he never admitted to anyone. And I told him about the man I had married. The years I gave away. The nights I spent staring at the ceiling, wondering what might have been. Time that holds meaning. Time that breathes. He reached for my hand, gently, like he wasn't sure. Without hesitation, like I'd been waiting all my life for that moment. We didn't kiss. We didn't need to. Something passed between us. Something full and real and alive. And in that moment, I realized something I never expected to feel again. Hope. Hope for something more. For something real. For something that had waited 2 decades to find its way back. That night, we stood by the old stone wall. The one we had both passed 100 times without knowing. He looked at me and said, I think I loved you then, even if I didn't know it. I closed my eyes, felt the tears, but they weren't sad. They were release. They were truths. I whispered. I think I always did, and for the first time in 20 years. Like all the days and choices and chances we had missed, they root themselves deep inside us. They come back, and when they do, everything begins again.